What is up, everybody? I'm GoldenFox, and welcome to the first edition of something that I decided to think of recently called Behind the Wings. I know, this is kind of a very silly name, but basically, this is me redoing my own commentary videos, where instead of just narrating over the videos, I'm reacting to them. And upon reacting to them, I'm expressing some insight and delivering some insight, and having a different way of commenting over my own videos. Now, react videos are the very genre is something that is a little more on the touchy side because of God knows what other territorial issues there are. So I just take on my own videos and I commentate over them and I provide some personal insight. And considering that I can every now and then I still pause on whatever video I'm showing. And I can actually give some more insight because unfortunately when it came to the other commentary videos that I made, I was under a time crunch and I was not able to cover everything to my satisfaction. So I thought that this would be a fun idea to do, and I wanted to see how far it goes. So with that being said and done, the first video that I'm going to be commenting and reacting to is the first MLP video, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, a confession review. That is a very mouthful of a title. I know, it was juvenile. But, I have commentated on this before, but I wasn't satisfied with it, along with many other videos, like I said before. So I thought that, I would talk about it a little more in-depthly. In-depthly, that's not even a real word. But, just bear with me here. So, the history behind that video, obviously, it's what got me started, got my foot in the door in the Brony fandom, making MLP content, and to an extent, introducing some other people to MLP. There are certain names that I can't think of at the top of my head, but it has introduced a lot of people at that time. Obviously, this video hasn't aged as well, but regardless, I still wanted to talk about a couple of things and hopefully cover everything to my own satisfaction, and hopefully you guys may enjoy this as well, given whatever expressions that I have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this on the road. Let's get this started. This is the very first MLP video that I made. God, that is a very old logo. You used to use that so many times.
Many different kinds of media, whether it was aimed for younger viewers or straight up towards adults. For whatever that matter is, it doesn't bother me at all. As long as I find them entertaining throughout and I'm willing to give my thoughts on it clearly, that's fine. Even though what I'm about to go over and deliver my thoughts to may seem...
This is still true. You shouldn't go judging anything of what the target demographic is.
It'd be worse if I was caught in the middle of it than...
As long as you have a good narrative or a good set of characters or some sort of quality,
spread all over the web entitled...
Good God, I looked so different back then. I actually had a lot more hair at that time. Nowadays, I've had a little less hair, and I've had, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. God, I looked so dramatically different back then. Some people said that it looked like Spoonie, which is kind of weird. I would not want to look like him, but it is what it is. I like the hairdo of having on the side to side, but that's not completely relevant. The thing I wanted to pause about is that, yes, I have actually acted this out, for those who are wondering. It's kind of silly doing that. To an extent, I was acting that out. I kind of knew that there was, at that time, before I discovered the actual fandom, that people, that there were some people out there selectively who liked it. That's the impression that I had. But I wanted to act it out because I felt as though it would be too awkward if I just said it straight. Saying it with a straight face. I knew that I had to just say, okay, yeah, I like a show that was aimed mostly for girls. I mean, you saying out loud that you like My Little Pony is a quote-unquote brave thing at the time. I'm pretty sure you guys would figure that out at this point. Let's continue.
It's hard to admit. Even to my awareness of whatever targeting it is, it feels pretty humiliating to admit.
God, I can still, sense that acting in there.
I hope I'm not taken the wrong way by my taste. I play adult video games on my Xbox 360 occasionally. I enjoy violent movies.
Talking about different adult titles to show, hey, I do big adult stuff, and I still like watching this. I like listening to heavy metal, but I still like watching this and listening to its music.
Girls how the hell did I get an entertaining 20 or so minutes out of every episode, you may ask?
22 years
Well,
old.
within this special occasion, I decided to spend some time to review it in the hopes that it's legitimate enough. I'll first go over my discovery of it a few minutes.
Ah, yes. Ponycraft 2. God, that was such fun memories. I remember finding this video back on dorkly.com, which I have explained it here, but I was impressed with the visuals, that it had this peculiar, familiar style to it that kind of reminded me of the Powerpuff Girls. And coincidentally, the show was made by the creator's wife, Lauren Faust.
But I did stumble through some pretty large compliments to the series, even for other males.
Okay, this was the part where I actually did explain that. I'm going to pause this for just a second. Okay, so I actually ran into like a comment or two where somebody said that this show was actually good. I was morbidly curious, and I looked up online, like the Internet Movie Database and a few other places, and I found out that people were actually liking it, and that's what was starting to get me even more curious after watching this video, Ponycraft 2. So, at some point, I decided to, maybe give a couple of minutes to an episode and hopefully not feel too awkward or embarrassed watching something for little girls. And I found myself finishing the first 2 episodes immediately, the pilot episode, in which, even to this day, I'm one of the few people who still like that episode despite what everybody else thinks. But I can tell that it does have some aging problems, which is no surprise at all. A lot of people don't like season 1 as often as the much, much later seasons. But still, that's kind of how I got my foot in the door in watching the series.
But I'm still keeping my distance before jumping too far ahead. So I started watching the series available on YouTube at a late hour every night. Thankfully, I wasn't caught.
Yeah, I did. I actually went through a bit of a marathon every night in an hour where my parents were asleep, my brother was asleep, I had headphones on, or I had it at a very low volume so that nobody will notice.
Some are unicorns, some are Pegasuses, and others are...
Pegasuses? It's Pegasi.
Named Twilight Sparkles, and the first episode is a 2-parter pilot of her trying to prevent an unfortunate prophecy.
God damn, that's a long, long sentence there.
Sibling of Nightmare Moon, as they once controlled night and day together. To Nightmare's evil schemes, she is then imprisoned for a millennium before being
imprisoned for a millennium, yeah.
And I honestly think Nightmare Moon looks pretty badass.
Until there's much future later villains like Chrysalis and Tyrek and a few other titles that I can't think of at the top of my head. I also do want to point out that yes, I do have a couple of grammar errors in this very video. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of cringe to it. Oh god, the M. Bison joke. I thought it was still relevant even after a couple of years since Doug Walker had his joke constantly going on. Even he stated that it was an overdone joke, but whatever.
Though having very familiar scripts. This then leads to various morals about taking responsibilities and not shoved down your throat like what most educational shows did.
Okay, I will point out that this actually did make me believe that this was partially educational. I still believe that. I mean, based on how the first season acted. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. The ones that are shown were Captain Planet and Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer is something that's aimed for a much, much younger audience, in which obviously it's not aimed for me, but I don't know how well it's aged. I haven't watched the show that much, and obviously I wouldn't given my age. But I think it was kind of unfair to tackle on that when it comes to shoving messages down your throat, because when you're aiming something for a younger audience, you do have to provide a little bit more detail. And by that, I mean, like, get them to understand. Not talking down to them. There has to be a balance around the two. Sesame Street does a very good job working on teaching kids numbers and other kinds of moral lessons and such. And to an adult perspective, it does feel like it's talking down to, but again, that's aimed for a much younger demographic. Again, the target audience does not indicate the quality. As for Captain Planet, I have not been a big fan of that show. I'm one of those who didn't like having those environmental messages being too crammed into your face. And that was aimed for a much older audience, which by comparison is how they deliver morals in a very desperate way compared to the likes of MLP, based off of, the experience you get off of watching the episodes and the stories that you follow.
Growing up. like finding and setting a future by cutie marks, which, though spoiling this series, actually symbolizes your career goals by the culture of Equestria.
Symbolizes your career goals, yeah.
This actually involves grown-up lessons.
I wouldn't necessarily say grown-up lessons, but it does have that good idea. I'm going to pause this again. I think this is a good idea on what to show, what it takes to grow up, and what kind of direction you want to take in your life. So with that being said, the cutie marks in the series have been very questionable over time, and I'm not going to hold back on that.
Really aren't. They actually made me care for them. Twilight in general is very likable. She's kind of our guide through the series as we see her interactions with the following, as well as her pet dragon Spike.
Her pet dragon Spike. Oh god. That's horrible.
She's the shyest of the group. Rarity is a lady-mannered artistic fashionist who enjoys designing clothes, but to a sympathetic extent, and not being a judgmental snobfest like I see in most cartoons with fashion as preachy.
Okay, I'm going to pause that here. To give a huge example of that, if you remember the show Hey Arnold, there was a character named, I think her name was Wynota or something like that. She was absolutely snobbish. She thought she was at a higher authority because she was part of a rich family, or at least so whereabouts. She was always stuck up, thinking that she's better than everybody else. That's what I thought Rarity was coming out as when I first saw her. She's like, no, oh heavens, no, like she was being picky with it. But then when she interacts with Twilight, she's like, okay, I need to fix that hair of yours, and that's out of a huge sense of obviously generosity, but also as like a sense of care in taking care of someone's personal appearance. Let's continue.
A Western horse named Applejack is by
A Western horse.
Though she does swing
Western
rodeo stunts like most typical Western portrays, she actually displays a lot of sportsmanship, loyalty, independence, and overall has a strong heart to others' needs.
Okay, this is actually based off of what I saw in the first couple of episodes, including Applebuck season.
She's also another favorite.
The cool factor, yeah. She's like, "Ooh, I'm the cool one."
Okay,
yeah. That's my thoughts on Rainbow Dash. Excuse me.
Annoying.
Okay. I've gotten a lot of shit when I got that, and when I posted this video up on YouTube, a lot of people got so upset at the fact that I stated that Pinkie was annoying. Basically, the impression that I have, and I'm going to be walking on eggshells here, I had the impression that she was going to be those like very, very energetic, active characters, the ones like Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory or Number 3 from Codename Kids Next Door. Excuse my pronunciation. I don't know what was going on there, but those kind of characters, like, oh, I'm the really, really hyperactive one, and technically she is. But over time, I've grown to appreciate the character, like, mostly through Season 2. Season 1, I started to grow more attached to her with episodes like Party of One and a little bit of Griffin the Brush-Off. So, but at the time, she was my least favorite character. Nowadays, whoever my favorite character and least favorite character is, it kind of varies all over the place. But I do want to apologize to those who were fans of Pinkie Pie, including but not limited to Keyframe. So let's continue.
Nevertheless, carries the needed substance to support every episode, and at times she can be lovably annoying from some of the silliest moments.
Lovably annoying, yeah. Like I said, there were some moments where I actually appreciated some moments that she gave during Season 1.
Practically no taste buds. There was an episode where she gladly ate a muffin mixed with potato chips, soda, and earthworms, which made other ponies sick.
Okay, I need to pause here for a second. That was actually a huge mistake. That clip where all the ponies got sick was from Applebuck season. In that very episode, Pinkie was also a victim of being sick, and I really made a bad assumption there, and that was a mistake on my part. And at the very end of the episode, Spike was holding a plate of those muffins that were from the trash. Like, he literally said, I picked it up from the trash. What I got that mixed up from was in Call of the Cutie, Apple Bloom was trying to make her own cupcakes, and she overcooked them. They were burnt. And, not Twilight, but Pinkie Pie was just gorging at them. Like, she was just eating them like she didn't care. So I had that kind of impression, and based on a vague memory of trying to get this video done, I made a bad assumption of Applebuck season. So that was a really, really bad mistake there. It wasn't her fault. That was my fault. There was also that one clip, which was in the very video, where she had a cupcake and she filled it up with hot sauce and took a huge bite out of it. So saying that she had no taste buds, that was horrible of me to say that. She actually does. She got sick. Even in much, much later seasons, like the cutie map, where she was like trying to eat up all those muffins and she's like got this sick look on her face. The same thing with Spice Up Your Life, where she's like, oh God, what the hell is up with this other food? So yeah, I do apologize to the Pinkie fans from the older time back then. Let's continue.
Else, it is very beautiful to watch. Of course it's a fantasy and it's aimed at little girls, but it works. Also, coming from someone whose experience that is aiming into graphic design, I can tell this was animated in Adobe Flash.
Yeah, this was a bit of a humble, like a personal brag about that, because I was experienced with Flash, making Flash movies before.
The show also features some
but apparently a lot of other people do too, so went to wrap up. I still love that song despite how problematic the episode is. Oh God, that clip is like...
But aside from that, and to sum it all up, the series is pleasantly well paced, it's cleverly written, and overall, it's a pretty fun series. Good God, I can't believe I actually said that.
Once again, I'm acting.
But I hope that actually explains why I like this series. If not, then suffice it to say, it's a guilty pleasure.
God, this video is so blurrish.
However, it actually has gained a
not by like just the visual quality, I mean like in terms of movement and such.
And you know, this comes to a simple life lesson in this video, and it's that you should not only never judge a book by its cover, but also learn to face it in order to acknowledge that concept even further. It's a lesson I've learned over and over again, but I was told that to learn is to relearn. So I feel uncomfortable saying this, but God damn it, I like this series.
Yep, gotta cram that into people's heads. Yeah, I like the series. I'm saying it multiple times.
You never know what the next results will be for season 2, which I actually am looking forward to. So if you have nothing else to do, and you dare yourself to watch the show and give it a shot, I'd say definitely check it out under my risky recommendation.
Risky recommendation. You know, that actually is still a risky recommendation, because despite the quality and the gain, the following that it gained, it hasn't aged too well. The older seasons haven't aged too well, and it's gained some more problems over time. So yeah, that's that was the first video. Like I said, this video has not aged well. There's a couple of grammar problems. There's some poor editing. There were bad assumptions that I made. One of which at some point that I didn't address was saying, what was it called? Abstract fetishes. I actually did not know what abstract fetishes meant back then. I thought that was referencing to just objects and other kinds of names like that. And that's roughly what a lot of the character names were, like Pinkie Pie, a color and a pastry, Twilight Sparkle, a time of day, and a some kind of term that refers to a verb, you know, sparkling. You know, that sort of thing. Which, funny enough, back then, some people would make a mix-up between that and Edward from Twilight, where he would, like, sparkle himself in the sunlight. So, yeah, that was an easy mix-up back then. Nowadays, Twilight is not as well remembered. So I guess that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I have been thinking about making a couple of other videos, but let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will gladly address on some of them. So until then, I'm GoldenFox, and I'll catch you guys later.